Good morning, good afternoon, namaste, Sat Shri Akal. From Foundation from India, Indian Diaspora Studies, I welcome you, all of you. Happy Diwali to all of you. This is a Diwali, or some people call Choti Diwali. In some states, Diwali is 5 days. So Diwali started from yesterday. And it's a big festival for Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, and still on this day, on a very short notice, all of you came. I really appreciate it. Also shows the gravity of the situation and the passion that people have. And so I welcome all of you. Quick introduction. The today's topic is on the situations in Canada, Indian Americans under the threats of extremism and hate crimes. And also we are going to reflect on government actions and what are the future things that needs to be done. We have very good panel here. We have SukhiChahal, who is chief editor of the Khalsa today. He is very prominent community leader and very active, particularly in general with to promote the harmony, but also to take this war against extremism and terrorism. We also have Vijay Jain. He is from Hindus for Harmony. He's a spokesperson of the organization. It's from Canada. We have Ruchi Wali. She's a Kashmiri Hindu originally. She's from Pickering, Canada, which is suburb of Toronto, I understand. And she is also working towards Hindu Sikh unity, and also active in the political spectrum. We have Mohan Sonti. He's FIIDS analyst, very knowledgeable on historical context. We also have other FIIDS analysts like Pranay Kohli. He's also working on the extremism area. But right now, from the panel point of view, we have this extreme panel. As we know that recently there was a video about threatening Hindus or Indians or anybody to fly, not to fly on 19th of November. And so this ties to the memories of sad memories of 1985, where Kanishka Air was bombed and 329 people were died, innocent people were died into that. And this threat is much more to take to remind the same thing. So what we would like to start with that, understand the credibility of this threat, and also understand who are these people who are behind this, particularly Sikh for Justice organization, or this Pannu, or in general the Khalistani extremism. And this question is we'll start with SukhiChahal. So Sukhiji, so please unmute yourself and let's get some of this context and content behind these people.
Ji, namaskar, Sat Shri Akal. Thank you very much, Khande Rao ji. You asked me the question actually, so regarding the video which was over there in the social media for a few days. That was by Mr. Gurpatwan Singh Pannu, and who is the founder and also so-called Consul General of the Sikhs for Justice, and he's based in New York, and also some time actually, so he go back and forth between Toronto and the New York. This Sikhs for Justice, or Mr. Gurpatwan Pannu's group, which is so-called, I don't call them Khalistani, so-called Khalistani, they are blot on the Sikh community. I'm a Sikh, I'm proud to be a Sikh. Their activity, it is nothing more than the Gundaism. Nothing more than, like, they are always trying to promote the violence. But whenever anybody asks them any question, then they try to play victim, then they try to play victim card, then they try to play the card of the freedom of speech and freedom of expression, this and that. Recently, he They have hosted the referendum in Surrey, and before that, actually, so they have done the two referendum, one in Mississauga, one in Brampton. The problem is actually up to now, the Canadian side even looks like actually, so they had a kind of like their hands in glove with the Canadian government too. And so they had a pretty much free ground. And so they were able to host all these referendum, although that so-called referendum has a no standing, even whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to mislead not only themselves, actually they're trying to mislead the Sikh community. And the majority of the people, silent community actually, so which is the almost 90%, the silent majority, they are not saying anything. There's a reason for that actually, why they are not saying anything, and I'll get to that point. But the problem is this guy, nobody is countering him, and now he's crossing the line again and again. And I was born in Punjab. I'm a proud Sikh, and I have no hesitation saying that. And we have one of the best relationship between the Hindu and Sikh community. And we have even marriage among each other, like even the first the son from the Hindu community used to be with proud actually, so that they used to make them the Sikh person. And I think Ruchi can explain very well actually, because she's married to the, now this is a clear example, very good example actually. Ruchi is also married in the Sikh family actually, so that's a kind of relationship which is very normal, very common in Punjab. But this guy is spreading the hate. He is disrupting the peace and harmony, not only peace and harmony. And recently he's crossing the limit, and he had issued a video last month that all the Hindus, Canadian Hindus, actually, they should leave Canada and they should go to India. And unfortunately, I have not seen any kind of action from the Canadian government. And I think even the Canadian Hindu, they should take it very seriously. They should reach out to their elected members and they should pressurize them. And also vote is very important actually, because all the people, every Hindu community member, and as I'm saying actually on the Sikh community side too actually, so we have to register our votes and we should participate in the politics actually, so that's the only way we can make our voice heard. And so now, recently, last week actually, so this is the same guy, Mr. Gurpatwan Singh Pannu, and he issued another video in which he's threatening the Air India. And so last night, and I issued the one video from my side, and so looks like the time has come actually when somebody has to step up, and I'm going to do it actually. I'm going to file the case against him. I'm going to take him to the US court, because the way he's threatening, and even not only threatening the airline, not only threatening the US government, Indian government, and it looks like he has no hesitation actually threatening anybody. And when Sonia Gandhi was here actually for the cancer treatment, and he tried to issue some kind of court document to him actually, so try to get him get her arrested. After that, when the Prime Minister came over here, and he did the same kind of propaganda. When the Mr. Captain Amarendra was here, actually he did the same thing. And I mean, actually, so he is trying to, his activity is hurting the Sikh community a lot more than anybody else, because now no leader from the Punjab side, from the Punjab actually, so they are hesitate not to come over here actually in US or Canada. If they are not coming over here, so we cannot even tell them, explain them what our issues are. It means, in the long run, it is hurting the Sikh community more. And also the way that some of the youth, those who are coming from India, and they're filing the asylum, and they are radicalizing them, which is also a matter of concern. Especially for me, yeah, the radicalization youth is a very big concern, which we all have to address. For that one, we have to have a united front. And there are just so many people from the Sikh community. They are concerned, because these people, they are the Gundadal. They have a lots of muscle power, and they have a very good financial power, and on top of that, this is their full-time job. And they are very committed, they are dedicated, and you can see, and you can ask anybody from the Toronto, you can ask from Brampton and Mississauga, and also on the Vancouver side, at least, so how many people they can mobilize, because they have the resources. And now it looks like, given the kind of Mr. Trudeau, at least the kind of a stand he took based upon not any credible evidence, actually. So this is putting the fuel on the fire, which is I think very concerning, because looks like at least so they are having the hand in glove. So end of the day, we have to reach out to all of our elected members, and we have to not only, even if you are on the Canadian side, actually it doesn't matter. Canadian, US side, actually, so anybody living in the North America, not only North America, actually anybody in the diaspora, Hindu and Sikhs, they have to fight. This is not the fight only for the Sikhs or the Hindu. This is our collective fight. We have to fight and we have to support each other.
Thank you, Sukhi Saab. So I think you well said about that. The kind of radical extremism from not only from this Pannu, but he's also doing consistently for some time. If I remember correctly, actually, the Trudeau, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, when he actually raised the Indian angle to this one on the involvement on the diplomats, which kind of it was solely seems to be the first one was raised this as a conspiracy by this Pannu, and it seems to be he was a friend or colleague of this dead Niger, who supposed to be one of the theory behind seems to be the internal revenge and gang and those kind of aspect, but it was he was the one who brought this angle, and then Justin Trudeau had taken up. But afterwards, it was not just a kind of a video threat or anything, but we saw this a larger impact on some of the atrocities, hate crime, attacks on temples, protests. That's what we read from the news. And we also saw that Indian students actually started deferring their admissions, and some of the techie professionals who typically go to US and Canada, they were hesitant to go to Canada. So we started seeing the impacts around that, and that's where we would like to hear from Vijay Jain, who is from Brampton, and he's a spokesperson for Hindus for Harmony. So Vijayji, so if you can let us know what actually happening on the ground, what you have been seeing for last at least the last 6 months or more than that. What are the trends? What concerns are there? Please give us the updates.
Namaste, Khanderao-ji, and to you and to all your listeners, a very happy Diwali. So yeah, so and Sukhi clearly very nicely put that the stand what government has taken. But then I'm going to talk about more from a people standpoint, what people feel about it. So and as such, the Hindu community in the past haven't been that vocal, but now we see that people are coming forward, people are talking about this, and some of the hate crimes, and people are now realizing that in last 1 year we saw there were more than 13 temples where the hate graffitis were drawn, and we see that even if those incidents happened, the police, what they did, they called it as just a vandalism, and they did not even call it as a hate crime. So that attitude of the police has been very much registered by the people. People are now realizing that we have not been treated properly here. People are seeing that. Many organizations have wrote letters to the MPs. We wrote letter to MPs, to Security Minister also. And when Guru Kunpanwan Singh's video came, I think a day later, there was a mess. There was after a lot of pressure, Canada's Safety Minister did a tweet on saying that every Canadian is feel safe and something like that. But again, people are registering that these are just the kind of empty words, and there is no concrete action. So Hindu community is registering whatever been happening here. When Trudeau made that statement in the parliament about what was that, like credible allegations, and that was pretty much, people know that it was a unsubstantiated, an unfounded the statement what he made, and it was very I would say that for a prime minister to make that statement publicly in the parliament, a very irresponsible act. And Hindu community, even if it was between India and Canada, the matter, but the price, the fear is among the the Hindu community, particularly, because we clearly see that that kind of a statement has emboldened those criminal elements. I mean, as Sukiji said, yep, it's a so-called Khalistanis. So it has emboldened them, and now we see that the problem in the fear in the Hindu community. And something did happen after that. As such, the visa services by Indian government was kind of suspended for a while, and the price has been for that been paid by the Indian diaspora, the Canadian, the Hindus, who like to travel to India to perform certain rituals, and some people has to cancel their weddings. Some people could not travel because of that. So net as such, Hindu community want a very strong relation between Canada and India, and Hindu community want to feel safe here, because we feel that we have a equal protection. That's basically the beauty of the Western world. However, what we see that is not been happening that way, and Hindu community is very much registering it. We see that we are not being treated equal here. Whatever the promises are made, they are pretty much they are empty promises. Again, to add to that, the thing what we just now said about this Air India bombing, which I think we're going to talk, but now people are realizing that there has been very much big attempt going on to erase that particular incidents from Canadian minds. Even such a big tragedy or the terrorist thing happened here, but we see that lately a lot of attempts are happening to erase the entire incidents from the Canadian history. So it's a blatant Hindu phobia going around. So Hindu community is not feeling very much good about this. So yeah.
Thank you, Vijay. So you raised a few issues. So I probably would like to go a little bit detailed onto that. One is that saying that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he not only just raised that as a rumor or allegations of Indian diplomats' involvement, but then immediately there was a one diplomat was expelled, and then there was this diplomatic crisis between the two countries. India also raised issues about the involvement of Canadian diplomats in India's internal matter, but they are more of the international. But when it comes to the internal, I'm seeing that not much actions are happening to protect the interest of Indian diaspora in Canada in general, and Hindus and others in particular, especially when there are these some of the graffitis or hate crimes or protests are happening. In that case, Hindus are it seems to be getting threatened. On this background, it would be important to understand that what's happening, that from Ruchi, Wali, who is from Pickering, and she's a unique example of Hindu-Sikh unity, and she's working towards that. And she's also active in the political spectrum, so she has some perspective and understanding that what the political positioning are there, what is government or non-governments are doing or should be doing. So let's hear from Ruchi. So I will welcome her.
Thank you, Khanderao-ji. Thank you for having me here. I want to start by wishing Happy Diwali to all your audience and to the panelists. And, thank you, FIID, for having me here. So great question, Khanderao-ji. I'll try to, little bit build a chronology here. So, like, it goes long back, but just a couple of weeks ago, Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he said in the parliament that there are, credible allegations against Indian government being involved in killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil. And then soon after that, we had a video issued by Pannu where he was threatening the entire kind of Hindu community to leave Canada. And then again, after a couple of weeks, he's back again, and he's threatening to maybe claiming it's dangerous for people to fly on Air India plane. And it's like kind of a deja vu situation happening all over again. The same thing happened 38 years ago as well, where we had Talwinder Singh Parmar and Najab Singh Bagri in a Malton Gurdwara uh, claiming such things, and then people started talking about it. The government then, it was unfortunately, Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, he reacted in the same manner. They were, too soft. They were too tolerant. They were too complacent, and they did not take these warnings, very very seriously. We have, unfortunately, we have politicians here that. Do not want to talk about this issue openly because they feel that it's going to impact, it's going to impact their votes. We have politicians who support the, for example, the World Sikh Organization, whose very foundation is genocidal in a way, because they their foundation is to basically, they want to kill a couple of thousand Hindus. So that's the political situation we have here. And all this boils down to people like us, because I like, for me it's really, the Hindu Sikh unity is very natural and important for me, because we are all Sanatanis. We are based on the principle of dharma, karma, moksha, and sar. We believe in all those principles. And Hindus and Sikhs, they are not separate. We are part of the same Sanatan Dharma. We are just different path, different panth. So that's what we are. This whole ideology, this separatist ideology, is kind of based on claiming that Sikhs are, different from Hindus, and it's not. Like, I am married in a Sikh family for the last 20 years. I know my husband for over 20, last 12 years, sorry. And I know my husband for over 20 years now, and I see no difference at all. Yes, there are some ritualistic differences, but foundationally we are the same. We celebrate the same festival, our culture is same. So there is no difference there. But it is unfortunate that some people and some politicians, they see us differently, and that's the biggest problem. And they try to toe that line, that they are different, and they try to exploit these basically fault lines. At least they think that they are fault lines. They are not fault lines, but that's what they try to explore. Even the Air India bombing, for example, it killed over 331 individuals, and out of the 260 were Canadians. However, not many Canadians know about it. It's very unfortunate. Like, 9 out of 10 Canadians do not know about it, and it was the biggest aviation attack that happened right here on Canadian soil. If there was no 9/11, that would have been the biggest aviation attack in the world. But like I said, the government are they are too soft, they are too complacent, and they take it very very softly, which is not right. And we as community members, not just Hindus, not just Sikhs, but Canadians, have to become aware of the situation, because it's happening right here in our communities, people we know, our friends, families. So they need to be kind of vocal about it, raise their awareness, and talk to their representatives that this is an issue that we face. And all this has led to a very difficult diplomatic situation that we are in today, at least with the biggest democracy of the world, which is not right in my opinion. So that's my two cents to start with, Khanderao-ji.
Thank you, Ruchi. You also touch base not only the Hindu-Sikh unity aspect of it, but also I think you refer to Justin Trudeau's father. He had the Pierre Trudeau. He was a prime minister up to 1984, and then during that time, Khalistani extremism was rising, and then India's Prime Minister Indira Gandhi had raised the issues, concerns. However, he did give the cold shoulder and did not really cooperate with Indian investigative agencies. And those things, and then keep on growing. And then we saw this, I think, 1985 bombing, and then that really was as you said, that before 9/11 it would have been just as one of the largest terrorist attack, and it impacted Canadians. But Vijay ji said that it is actually getting erased from the memories of the Canadians, the whole references, etc. It would be curious to actually discuss that, how the mainstream Canadians are actually seeing this particular issue. But before we touch that issue, I think let's get and invite Mohan Sonti, who is FIIDS analyst, is very knowledgeable into this particular topic, has done the research, and I would like to invite him to give us some of the more historical facts that Ruchi had touched, and let's see how it actually evolving, and what's the situation, the gravity of the situation as of see.
Namaste everyone, and Shubh Deepavali to all of you. So on this subject, I think before we understand where we stand today, I think we need to go back to about, say, 50 years to see how it all started in some sense, and how it got built up to where we stand today. So back in the late 1970s, when India was, just had a few wars with Pakistan, and we all knew that Canada at many given points of time were more supportive of Pakistan. So at that time, the Prime Minister, interestingly, the Prime Minister of today, Justin Trudeau's dad, Pierre Trudeau, was the Prime Minister of, or one of the leaders and the Prime Ministers in the 70s, and eventually became the Prime Minister. So he took that opportunity, and he started building stronger relations with Pakistan. There was some technology transfers and some deals. There was some functioning system between India and Canada. But Pierre Trudeau actually took that as an excuse on, somehow India didn't use the technology the way they intended to use, or things like that. Normally, it should have been a simple economic issue or some sort of a technology transfer issue. But just at around the 70s was this Khalistani issue and other little issues that were kind of funded and pushed by Pakistan. Now, very unfortunately, the word Khalistani comes from a very noble word, Khalsa. And so some fringe elements essentially use such noble words to infiltrate and take over the whole movement. So Pierre Trudeau, at that time, what he did was he immediately sided with the Pakistanis, and the ISI was known to be supporting these elements, these separatist elements at that time, and the terrorist elements. And he started giving refuge to all of them. And this was very well known to most people. And the general idea of a refuge is you come and stay in this country. I mean, they gave an excuse of being persecuted, and whatever the Canadians wanted to believe at that time, the government, they could just let in all these refugees, and the purpose is to give them a safe place to live, continue living. But that's not what really happened. What they did was basically they brought in the entire system, and it looks like the appearance of it, and also on the ground reality, starting from Pierre Trudeau, they not only got a lot of refugees from India who were particularly part of this Khalistani movement. Like I said, this is a small fringe group, a terrorist group, and there were a lot of other terrorist-related organizations, and India was already tackling them, and it's a domestic issue for India. And Canadian government at that time had anything but a good intent, so they brought in over here, and they started nurturing it as if it is a way to punish India. So that nurturing and whatever the Canadian starting from the late 1970s and to the 80s resulted in the Kanishka bombing in 1985. Right? And despite that action at all for the last 35 years, not only did it not take any, a couple of things have happened. One, all the so-called immigrants and refugees, they have started getting, and we could see that that movement started taking root to what it is today in 30 years, where they have their own political party, a very powerful political backing, and now they can force a political force in the government. And besides this, the second element was, we can see the way it is treated for the Kanishka bombing. After 30 to 35 years, the total number of people who were convicted stands at 1. If people can believe it or not, and that one person is also let go, as I hear, right? So it looks like the Canadian government over the years of last 30 years, starting from Pierre Trudeau, even if the governments have changed, have either have done nothing about it or have outrightly supported these kind of elements. It appears to be that the government, all these Khalistani movement that they were nurturing, were using the state machinery, which is given on a loan to them, so they can use the entire Canadian government state machinery to use it against India. That is the appearance that they give. And in these last 30 years, it is interesting to note that it is not just about the Khalistanis. As we have seen recently, we had a Nazi. He was. They tried to appreciate him and decorate him with a military honor, and it was later found out that he was actually a Nazi, also somebody who has committed genocides. And we can go back to other such people, like for example, the assassins of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The assassins, many of them were executed. Some of them who escaped, they are actually living in Canada as well. And in fact, the Bangladeshi government also asked for an extradition of that person, but they haven't done it. So it appears whether the government is proactively, I mean, clearly it hasn't taken any action. I'm not making any accusations of whether they are actually supporting it, but clearly, at the least, we can say safely that it's been completely complacent to all these murders across all the different countries, be it the Khalistani movement in India, or the assassins of the Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, or the Nazis, or anyone apparently finds a home in Canada. And this Khalistani issue starting from Pierre Trudeau, which is almost 50 years old, when the refugees started coming in, it was not about the vote bank. So obviously they had a different intent. And this entire movement grew right under different Canadian leaderships. And it culminated today in Pierre Trudeau's son, Justin Trudeau, actually taking an active support and actively supporting these elements, these terrorist elements. So this has been the growth of it. So I think Canada must definitely do an image makeover and certainly need to take an action, a tangible action that people can see. So we don't come to a conclusion that it's probably beyond complacency. That's my
So very
opinion.
rightly said. I think some of the observations at the tail end of you extended not only the Canada's position on this, the whole Khalistan, or in the context of Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, but also extending it to what's happening, that getting refugee or asylum, or even hosting, whether the Nazis or whether the Bangladeshi, those who were involved into the criminals assassination, but it's a political criminals, you can say. But also I recently read the similar thing. I'm here reading about the Hamas or some of the people from Palestine would, and maybe Hamas, they may find refugee in Canada. So it's a Canada's issue, but it's a really concerning. It's a U.S. border, but also it's becoming a safe haven for all this terrorism. That is really going to be a concerning, and something that Canada's political system probably may need to be reflecting on that. So that actually brings next one topic. I think we cover almost all topics, including even how the ISI role played, but somehow we missed one angle to always I observe that who funds the terrorism, right? It's ISI is one, but Pakistan is in turmoil. Of course, it wants to export that turmoil to other nations. Another aspect of such kind of terrorism, and not just here, but in many places, is the drugs and gangs. And somehow we actually miss to touch base on that. So I would like to hear from Sukhi that any connection, anything, because I did see that recently in the last decade there was drugs in Punjab was also increasing. And then the Khalistani extremism movement was actually died in India. There is no traces of it. However, it actually started in this North America, in Canada, also some part of California. So it is coming up. It is getting revived, whether under the referendum or whether it is the actual some threats, but it is coming up. And we also saw that there were reports that when in India farmers protests were happening, they were mostly not all over the India, but they were only in a certain part, and particularly on the border of Delhi. And then it was by the farmers, so-called farmers, but the rumors were there. They were all also funded by these extreme elements. So I would like to hear more from SukhiChahal on the whole drug angle, the money angle, and how is actually playing into that, whether it is playing or not.
Khande Rao ji, very important, very good question, and very sensitive question too. But the thing is, because as far as the funding of the SFJ is concerned, actually, so I don't have any proofs. I cannot say anything whether if they are getting any money from the ISI. Many people in the media, actually, so you hear actually, so not only ISI, because they don't have that much money anymore, actually, so they are also begging the money all over the world. Right, so the money could be coming. There is a very interesting narrative, actually. So I heard in the media there is a Chinese money coming through the ISI. The thing is, because one thing is very sure, but ISI has a very good network all over the world, and they provide the network, and so especially their connectivity, their network is very important. It's very helpful for these kind of element, actually, right? Number two, you asked the question for the Khalistan, and there is no demand for the Khalistan in Punjab. And I am very frequent to Punjab, and you know that. Like the people, if you talk to anybody about the Khalistan, people look at you, they'll smile at you, and they think then they'll tell you actually go ahead and check your head somewhere and brain somewhere, actually, because there's nobody is looking for the Khalistan over there. And also drug angle. Punjab is being destroyed by the drug. There's no doubt about it. You might have seen some movies. Forget about the movie, actually. So we are connected with the roots, actually. So the drug is the biggest problem in Punjab. But the drug is coming from the Pakistan side. All this coming from Afghanistan. It is coming from by Pakistan. But it's being consumed by the youth, and it's consuming the youth of the Punjab. And that's a drug issue in Punjab over here, which is a very critical issue, very important, very sensitive, very unfortunate issue, actually, especially the Punjabi, those who are known for the hard work. And so now then they are also known as a drug addict, actually. So there's nothing wrong. And so you can see in the media, and you can go on the ground, you can feel it, you can see it. The same, there is many people. The thing is, but one thing we have to understand, although it is many people, they hesitate to admit or claim or talk about it. The thing is, one thing is very important to understand. If there is a drug issue in Punjab, it means the people from the Punjab are also involved in the drugs over there. And we cannot deny it, because it's not that like a drug is flying out and somebody is consuming it. No, there are the people, there are the drug dealer in Punjab, and they're the people, and I cannot say at least so that they are from specific community, but there is a drug issue over there, and it's very similar people, some people from the Punjab, and they are also giving the very bad name to the Sikh community. You can see actually, so whenever any major news coming from the Canadian side, which is majority of the time, 90% is very negative, coming from the Sikh community and coming from the Punjabi community. And you will see lots of drugs and gang, the people from Punjab involved over there, which is very, very unfortunate, very concerning. If we say actually, so all these are all Khalistani, I cannot say that actually. So I think I have a hesitation. I cannot connect everything to the Khalistani. And
So
they
actually, I
have
was not saying the Khalistani, but the drug dealers or gangs or anything, they're taking advantage of the situation. That's the observation that more than
definitely. I mean, coming to that point, and so to answer your question, you ask actually where the money is coming from. Khande Raoji, you have seen the Sanoji Gurdwara, right? Which is a very good Gurdwara, and so people from the all Sikh community and the Hindu community you will see actually. So imagine it's like the Gurdwara actually. So the worth is almost $40 million, right, of the Gurdwara, actually one of the biggest Gurdwara. But there are certain Gurdwara which are under the control of these called the Gunda Dals, right? And the criminals actually. So even some of the prominent Gurdwara actually has been taken over by the Six for Justice, the SFJ, and there's a Gurdwara in New York and a Gurdwara you can see in Surrey, that's where Mr. Nijar was got murdered. And there's some Gurdwara in Brampton and Mississauga and the other areas too. There is a very good income in the Gurdwara. And lots of Gurdwara income coming to a Gurdwara, and so they are not there's no accountability. And some of these money, the Sangat money, the people's money, Sikh community's money is being used for that kind of activity. That is another very big concern actually, because not only their money is being wasted, and also money is being wasted to create a hate among the community. And so that's why the people, even from the Sikh community, it is bothering them. But the thing is, unfortunately, nobody is willing to come forward. But eventually, if we're gonna continue this kind of a dialogue, which is very important, at least sooner or later people will come forward actually. Because if we don't talk, if you and me, we are not going to do our job, then it's pretty much the end game actually. So that's why this
Yes,
kind of
certainly.
is very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sukhi. So we actually have Ruchi just now mentioned that we have Sushil Nagar, who is Indo-Canadian journalist and founder of Kannam Media. Since he is in the journalism, he's covering multiple issues. I would like to just welcome him to see what are the observations, if we have missed anything, a particular anger that I'm actually missing here is that. What is the mainstream Canadian, right? Where they stand, what is their level of awareness? So because they are actually observant or they're participant, they are concerned, they're not concerned. Because I saw that sometimes even many, and actually what Sukhi was saying, G was saying that there are a lot of some fringe elements which actually bringing the bad news. Many times I read the news all over, and some of the news, when I see the criminal activities related news coming from Canada, somehow I started seeing a trend, increasing trend of finding Sikh names reflecting to that. So something is happening. I think there are some criminalization probably happening, and or certain things. So I want to see Sushil Nagarji whether you have any observation, thoughts that you would like to bring some facts over here.
Hi, thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to speak. In our media channel, mostly we speak to people on streets and take their point of view as far as the economy is concerned, law and order situation, and foreign policy as well. Plus, I've been in Canada for almost 13 years now, more than 13 years. And I live in Vancouver area. We have most of the people who work for us are also from non-Indian background. They are white people or other immigrants from other parts of the world. Usually people they don't even know the difference between Sikh and Hindu, to be honest. Like it's shocking. They don't know. One of the girl we hired actually a few months back, and I gave her a script and she was editing the video, and she didn't know the difference between Sikh and Hindu, right? Which is actually, I think, a good thing. Like it's not a problem. However, Sikh community in Canada have done an amazing work when it comes to philanthropy, social services, participating in democratic process. We are, as a Hindu community, we are way behind. We are very unorganized, divided, and Sikh community, even when they, there is actually a joke. They say that when Khalsa Aid donates something, they make sure that they donate one bag, and there are 4 cameras covering when they, donate that bag. So they have a very positive image, Sikh people. And most of the Sikh people are in every party. They are in Liberal Party, they are in Conservative Party, and of course, NDP party is led by Jagmeet Singh as well. So people in general have a very positive view of them, and they are very vocal as well. They fund politicians, they tell them what to do, and then politicians are basically are regular people. Like when we invite politicians, we take selfie with them, we take photo with them. Sikh people, when they promise something, okay, you will get this much money, they get this much money. When they say, you will get this much vote, they will get this much vote. One of the crazy experience of mine when I got involved in Canadian politics and media was that I joined a EDA, so electoral district in Canada. So where are 20 to 25 people in any party, they join, and they are basically the stakeholders of that electoral district, and they decide where the money will be spent, who are going to be the candidates, nominees, and everything. And then there is a national council, there is selection committee, and from those people we see people becoming MLAs and MPs. And there was one lady, I won't tell her name, but she was from Sikh background. I think she was third generation Sikh in Canada. So very coconut type lady, very whitewashed. And the first thing she asked me and my friend was, are you Sikh or Hindu? So she was already vetting, like, okay, these brown people are joining EDAs, white people don't know anything. Let me see, are they Sikh or Hindus? And then that was very bizarre, because in Canada, no one asked this question. So I'm just saying, like, the infiltration which they have done in those kind of institutions in Canada is very tactical, very smart, and something which me and my other fellow Canadian Hindus, we are also deciding that we are going to make sure that more and more Hindus, more and more people who are pro-Indians are going to join EDAs, because that is it doesn't take that much time, it won't take a lot of money, and we can actually build leadership who can make a difference in the long run. So
Thank you.
Yeah, that is.
I think it's
that is
a,
my
you are
observation.
going towards the next segue into that, but actually had a little bit concerning thoughts. I'm just openly raising it because you are covering that. In that case, it was also came out as a we and they. Is it now this issue is dividing Hindus and Sikhs? I don't want to be like a politically correct, but I want to ask that question, that because you did use the word kind of differentiating. However, Vijay Jain, he was just in the chat mentioned that, hey, we have this Hindu Sikhs Unity Forum. Then we have Ruchi mentioned that she's working on to Hindu Sikh unity. And so I want to understand what's the reality on the ground as well as at the broader level, at the community leaders level, because there could be two or three things, right? One could be the fringe element, which actually taking over the whole narrative, broader space. And it just, or this is actually becoming a mainstream bigger issue, right? That's one part of mainstream means with at least that the Indian diaspora, which is kind of into this one. So now it is getting into hotly debated. So first I will get Ruchi, ladies first, and then Sukhi.
Khande Raoji, one second, actually, before we hear from the Ruchi, actually, so that I think we have to understand. So she raised a very good point, actually. So sometimes there is a misunderstanding, actually, so between the Hindu and Sikh. But reality is, actually, when I came from Punjab, right, in 93, here in US, until that, actually, so we even didn't knew any difference between the Hindu and Sikhs inside the Punjab. We fought against the terrorism together as a brother and sister. And this is where I heard, actually, so where I saw the difference between the Hindu and Sikh community, and that radicalization, and that hate, and the radicalization is getting worse and worse every day. But the thing is, because what if anybody asks for the between the issue in the Hindu and Sikh, I would ask them to, okay, so who do you believe? If a person claim that he is the hardcore Sikh and this and that, ask them actually, so do they believe in Guru Granth Sahib? Yes, because I'm a proud Sikh. I believe in Guru Granth Sahib. And who are the contributor of the Guru Granth Sahib? And out of 10 Sikh, out of 10 gurus, there are only 6 gurus are the contributor of the Guru Granth Sahib. And there are almost 15 Hindu Pagat are the contributor of the Guru Granth Sahib, right? And all the gurus actually sort of born in the Hindu community, right? In the Hindu faith. And so there was no difference actually. We never felt, we never heard actually so between the Hindu
Actually,
and Sikh.
that is where I'm getting into that. Means this is the historical fact and cultural fact, the unity. However, my question is that whether this campaign of this extremism or political level or ISI driven or some extremist level, it is actually now creating a rift. My question was around that. That is it kind of
I
a,
can.
because, okay, now Ruchi, please go ahead.
Yes, so your question, it's a good question, Khande Raoji. Their whole ideology or their whole methodology is based on this foundation that Hindus and Sikh are different. And that is what they are trying to do. They are trying to say that Hindus are very different from Sikhs, and that there are so many examples of saying that, so one very like a common example. So whenever you read Guru Granth Sahib, there is mention of Ram, which is Lord Ram, Bhagwan Ram, Sri Ram. But when you see that getting, even when it is playing in like a Gurdwara and they're translating it into English, they will very cleverly replace the word Ram with Lord, just to give them a separate identity that, it's not the same Ram, but it is the same Ram. There is, I think the word Ram is mentioned 8,000 times in Guru Granth Sahib, and it's the Sri Ram that Hindus also worship
So are
too.
you saying that there is a systematic efforts in some level where the next
Yes,
generation
yes,
are slowly getting hidden from this
yes. They come up with
historical
new
facts?
theories every now and then, trying to give
For more
Sikhs
than
a separate
1,100 years.
identity.
Okay.
Yes, no,
So
like,
then
yes, it is. So their
I think
whole,
it's an important
it is
observation
also, I
because
just want to say one more thing, that
okay.
this whole started like what Mohanji was saying. It started in 1971 with K2, like when there was a war between India and East Pakistan. When they were defeated badly, they had to surrender. Everybody knows, we have seen pictures of those. So that is when they wanted to bleed India by 1,000 cuts, and that's what they did. They came up with this K2, and I have seen both sides of K2. Being a Kashmiri Hindu, I've seen my family leaving Kashmir because that is what it leads to eventually. And in Punjab also, my husband's side of family, they have seen worse time, drugs, terrorism, killing, and everything. So that is their ideology is based on giving them a separate identity than Hindus. They want to wedge that gap with new theories and new concepts every day,
I
pretty
think it's
much
a very
every day.
good point that you brought. That I think that you kind of gave the some foundation to what Pakistan's strategy, need, dream, whatever the case. But they think that Pakistan got divided, so now they need to take the revenge and
Yes,
then
because
divide
they could
India
not
with.
combat India in a battlefield. So that's what they did. They tried to break these,
Okay.
internal forces. They are not so tangible, and they are dividing forces. Like when a country gets into a war, unfortunately, the countrymen, they get united.
Correct.
But these forces, they attack your ideology and they try to divide you in that ways.
Absolutely.
So Mohanji is raising his hand, so
So
maybe we can go to
I'm going
Mohanji
to
now.
give a leading question to him, and probably if needed, I can bring Pranay in the debate if he has something. But I'm going to ask Mohinderji or anybody asking the question, please type in, then we can just bring them over here. But when you raise that the issue that how some of the historical fact or even Guru Granth Sahib is like a crime. They are actually just editing it, and which actually is a so sacred Grantha. You can't touch it, but when the translation, they are messing it up. So it is very wrong. It's like it should be. But I'm very surprised that what happened with the mainstream Sikh who are learned, what are they doing into when they are observing this? When there is this, the whole division is observing, the next generation is getting radicalized. And also, I want to see that Indian, by and large, diaspora, Hindu, whether leaders or others, what are the what is their roles? Means it seems to be like one guy somewhere sitting and then putting a video and then having some political party has some support to that. Is it it is the even the mainstream is behind that, or it just a hijack? So I will start with Mohanji, and then I would like to see whether Vijayji wants to add something on from the ground. Yeah, Mohan, please go ahead.
Yeah, so what is happening is basically, if you look at it, when Pakistan lost the war, essentially they continued that through alternate means, like the thousand cuts. So essentially, it's like any other people, anyone who are not pro India, they're all being fed. So I would say this entire idea of Khalistani people, they're nothing to do with Sikhism to begin with. So to them, it doesn't matter. They can always change, they can do whatever they want because they don't find that to be sacred. In fact, they don't follow any of the preachings and teachings that is done by their great gurus. So to them, it is easy. I mean, they can, of course, change it. It is sacred. To who? Not to the Khalistanis. It is to all the other Sikhs, right? You find the same kind of a distortion. We find even in our scriptures, there are a lot of left liberals who just come in, they take over the whole thing and make their own interpretations of our scriptures. We see that happening too. The same thing is happening where we have gotten rid of this problem of Khalistanis in India, but they have somehow taken root in other countries. I think Canada has provided a fertile ground for it, and they took root in Canadian soil, and they are doing exactly to them. I really don't, honestly, I don't consider Khalistanis to be Sikhs. I never use the word Sikh for them because that is a completely incorrect word, especially given the fact that it comes from a very noble word, Khalsa. So they will distort it. So what we need to do is strengthen the other Sikhs so that they can rise up and get rid of the menace. They're basically like an infiltrators within their own system. So it's something that I would look at even Sikhs as suffering from these Khalistanis. So it's an infiltration that they have, and we should join hands to see how we can get rid of this infiltration.
Thank you. So let's hear from Vijay. Vijay Jain.
Mohanji and rightly called out, and that is exactly what the role of that Hindu Sikh Unity Forum. So, when Khandirajji, when you asked the question to Sushilji about us versus them, we versus them, so it's not Hindu versus Sikh. It's a people. It's a two group of people. One group who wants to live in harmony together as a Canadian, whether you are Hindu, how you worship, and it's different thing, but how you want to live in peace and harmony. That's one group. And when we say them, is the people who want to divide people, who want to basically make use of this, the nuances of the differences and make it kind of make this fault line bigger or create those fault lines, and then kind of create environment of division here. So that was basically us versus them. Now I'll come back to Canadian government here, how we feel. So we feel very much, I mean, like deeply surprised when I got into the community advocacy. So the Canadian government here supporting a demand for Khalistan. I mean, and many Canadian politicians they call Sikh nation, right? It's very, very bad, to be very honest. What are you saying? Means you are supporting a demand for theocratic state sitting in parliament here. Means you want to create a theocratic state in a democratic elected sovereign country. That's what you are doing. I mean, to me, the Sikh nation, whatever you call, or let's say the Khalistan, so-called, right? The demand for that is no different than ISIS demand, because what's going to happen with the Hindus there? And these politicians understand, like in the land, if you create a Khalistan, so-called, are you going to kill all those Hindus? Is that what you are supporting? And we get very much surprised that how can a secular country can support a demand for a theocratic state? So people are realizing, people are registering this kind of thing, and people are raising the voices. But of course, what happened, those who raise those voices, unfortunate part, the political leaders shut them off. Example, some politician who went against talking about Khalistan movement and everything, and his political career was completely ruined. Somebody spoke against it. Those people, and even Air India bombing trials also, those who were giving testimonies, those were killed people, right? And government, security services, everybody is kind of a silent. And coming back to the point which I was talking about, attempts have been made to erase that entire incident. We see that earlier this year, I saw that even the 1985 Air India bombing, in memory of that, there is a day on 23rd of June called National Day of Remembrance of Victims of Terrorism. That day was removed from the commemorative day list. When we realized that, we approached the government and got it added back. Recently, in the place where I live, the Peel School, this is school board, they have all the days in their list of days of observation. Only one day is missing. That is the 23rd of June day for this. It's such a big important day, and they did not include that day. So definitely there is like a lot of attempts are happening to erase that incidents. And what we can do is that we have to make sure that particular incidents and everything, how that happened, how the media played role, how the judiciary played role, bad role, to be very honest. It has to be taught in the schools. And that's where basically we are working to basically kind of like make people educated about that and to avoid this thing happening again in future.
Thank you, Vijay. So I think it's a natural segue to the next and the last one. We are now 1 hour, top of the hour. So we typically hour and 15 we wrap, and now we are in the tail. So what I will do, this is the rapid question kind of a round. Everybody just 30-second or maximum 1 minute. But now it is a, what would you like to do, whether with the people to people or the political level or the religious leaders level or the international community level, to address this issue? So just we'll go and we'll start with Ruchi ji. But since you raised the hand before I ask the question, your answer might be something different. So first talk about that and then come to this point. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, I think there are a lot of things that we can do as community members. We should raise this issue. We should talk about it. Thankfully, social media is there because mainstream media is trying to not address this. Khalistan is not just a Canadian problem. It's a global problem, by the way. So we should talk about it. We should talk based on facts and we should highlight these facts. I think one thing that Canada can learn is, UK recently, they have decided that they will not take any refugees from India. Canada should do that too, because that is one thing that these Khalistanis hinge on to. They claim refugee status, and that's how it all started, as Mohanji was saying earlier. So that is one thing that Canadian government should also do. They should stop taking refugees from India, and that will curb this problem to a large extent. So that is one thing, one solution that the government can have. And as a community, like I said, we should talk about it. We should state the facts and never forget what happened in the Air India bombing. People lost their lives, and people who spoke about it, Balraj Deol, Ujjal Dosanjh, they almost lost their life just for speaking about it. So these are the things that we should tell fellow Canadians and try to, raise the awareness. I think that is what we should do.
We'll go to Sukhi. Your 30-second, 1 minute, that what we should be doing, whether Sikh community, Indian American, Indian Canadian, international community. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I agree with the Ruchi ji actually. So one of the biggest concern actually, so which has been mentioned earlier, because the history has been being distorted. It started by the British. Then after the British, it was the Congress government which tried to create a division between the Hindus and the Sikhs. And it took a long time for them to get to this point. But if we think actually, so we will be able to erase it overnight, that's not going to happen. But we also have to put the same kind of effort in this one, and the same kind of effort, and also the consistent effort. Ruchi ji mentioned Balraj Deol, but unfortunately, what kind of support we have provided to that gentleman? He is suffering. He's a good friend of mine. I went to Toronto. I met him actually because he's not willing to even participate in any events anymore because that guy suffered. He got attacked. But the thing is, we have to empower the people, those who are coming forward from especially from the Sikh community. If somebody is coming, somebody is courageous enough, and we are not going to support that person, then it's going to be very, very challenging, very hard, actually. So because I'm facing the same kind of issue. And also, like 10 seconds more, who is stopping the Air India to file the lawsuit against Mr. Pannu? Air India is a private entity, and they have offices over here. And if they have a millions of dollars, they have a legal like law firms over here. They can take the advantage. Who is stopping them? And also, they are the part of the Star Alliance, and they are then the United Airlines also is the one of the partner, and also even the Air Canada is the partner. And who is stopping them not to put him on the no-fly list, actually? So the thing is, because let's not even there is some work, some responsibility lies on the government of India side, and also some of the business on the India side, and also they should also do their job before expecting too much from us.
Thank you. I think you put a very good action item that airlines should put a terrorist who is actively threatening to bomb airline to be called as a dangerous and put on the non-fly list. I think that's a very good point. And now, whether Mohanji, you want to go ahead with your 1 minute?
Yeah, so there are a few things. I think we can take some actions which are both the government as well as the individuals. From the government side, it'll be nice if the Canadian government, from the state of complacency and or outright support, if they can turn a new chapter and start like the Germans have separated the idea of Nazi and Germans. Anywhere they hear the word Nazi, they separate them completely and they're punished. If Canadian government can turn a new leaf and hand over, all the criminals that he has been harboring, if they hand over Bangladesh, India, any other people.
Mohanji, you are having some communication
Turn a
issue.
new leaf and show to the world that you can hear now.
Yeah, now it is okay.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Yeah. So I said, so if they turn a new chapter, that will be a good beginning for the government. And as far as the people are concerned, I think the Hindus and Sikhs have always lived like brothers because many times they are from the same family. So if the Hindus and Sikhs can get together, and there is a lot of common ground, both are dharmic ones, and there are so many common celebrations and common things. If we can get back to what we were before, and I think even the people have a role to play. And if the gurudwaras and temples, they can do certain activities together, and be together like brothers, and that is the common people that they should start doing that. And something like Vijay can explain more on how these activities can be done. That is for the common people, but the government itself also need to show its sincerity and turn a new leaf and not take any support of anything that says Khalistan, and hand over and extradite all the criminals that they harbor, and show sincerity that they do not support these extremists.
Thank
These
you.
are two actions that can be taken.
So back to Vijay Jain, any 30 seconds?
Thanks. Yep. So a lot can be done definitely, and to be very honest, the truth is the answer to solution to many problems what we face today. So educate people, like as I said, the attempts have been making to erase the entire incidents. We got to basically work very hard to bring that entire chapter in. We should keep talking about that. We should make sure that it's been taught to the children also. That's one part we can do. Second thing is that we should keep challenging the media, which keep calling these people as Sikh leader. I mean, come on. When they call Nijjar as a Sikh leader, to me, it's an insult to the entire Sikh community, right? I mean, is Sikh community should be led by a person like Nijjar? Let's be be honest about that. And anywhere we see that, like, I mean, I feel very bad for, to be very honest, the getup of Sikh, right? I mean, like, it's very revered getup, all guru, right? And now we see that, I mean, in Brampton, I move around and I see that on the car, if anywhere the poster of the Sikh getup poster is seen there, we are now scared, to be very honest, right? And the same person who had a great reverence for the Sikh gurus, today the same getup is giving us kind of the fear. So this is the level we have come to. Now we have to keep talking about that. So and of course, we should stop calling Khalistanis as Sikh anymore. The moment anybody refer to them like that, even media, we have to keep rejecting that media in social media and everywhere. That's, I think, what we should do.
So thank you. I think I have last question. I was going to halt it, but one of the audience member had put that question, or rather the suggestion. The suggestion is that I'm just reading as it is, that we should also cover the role of Khalistan journalists, writers, university professors, news organizations like Baz News, Progressive News. They write articles, reports, and later on young, naive students speak on them and then get their views based on that. So on these, I will just pick and choose. Probably Ruchi and Sukhi, you have any viewpoints how we can address that? Because it seems to be a kind of a conscious campaign is happening in certain segment to create a different narrative and radicalize next generation. Yeah, go ahead, please. Ruchi, you want to address? It's
Yes,
a tough question to
absolutely,
address on fly, but yeah, go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. We should counter their narrative. And, it is a digital world like right now. So it's important to write, and that's what I was saying earlier also. So state the facts, write, respond to them. And thankfully, we have social media, and it's not like, mainstream media doesn't want to talk about it, but we have another tool at hand, that is the social media, and we should talk about it. We should write about it. We should counter their narrative. Every any forum and every forum where we can, and we should even help people, like we have people who are good at writing, for example. We should support them, and even have publication houses counter this narrative. So they have a very good ecosystem, and they have very carefully built it. They have given different roles to everybody, and we need to be more organized. Yes, we have started walking the path, but yes, we need to do it. The short answer is yes, we need to get organized, and we need to, writing and registering your concern is very important. Just saying it is also important, but putting pen to paper, whether it's on social media or anywhere else, it's very important, because then it stays there. It is forever. People can come back and read about it also. So
Thank
yes,
you.
we should
Thank
do
you.
it. We should build on to that.
So, Suki, only 30 seconds because 12:15 now we'll stop it. But since you have Khalsa today, and I wanted to understand that what is your viewpoint that there is the whole campaign is going on, and how to take on that campaign?
Khanderao so-called Khalistani, at least all the radical, they have a very dedicated people, dedicated resources, and so that's why this is their full-time job. This is how they build the narrative. And then another thing, actually, so they can tell the lie, and they tell the 100 lie, then the people suddenly start assuming that there may be some kind of truth over there. So that's why, like, whenever anything negative happens, actually, first thing they say, okay, they will blame RSS, then they blame Modi, then they blame BJP, then they blame the Hindus, right? And they do it 10, 15, 20 times, actually. So just slowly, actually, people will try to like accept that false narrative. And what we have to do, actually, so we have to encourage the people, those who are willing to speak out. Ruchi mentioned the name, Balraj Deol. He was a guy, journalist, and he was very dedicated, very courageous guy, outspoken. But the thing is, because he has been shut down. Why? Because we did not support him. He did not get
They try to shut down me also, Sukhiji. I have also lost some things. I don't want to talk about it publicly, but yeah, they try to attack you however they can.
This is their modus operandi. Actually, this is what they do. Actually, the thing is, because Khanderao, actually what I went through, what I'm going through every day. But the thing is, because God has given me, Paramatma has given me the strength, actually. So that's why I'm willing to fight. And I am dedicated my life to build a peaceful, positive, very good relationship between the Hindu and Sikh community. That's my priority. And that's when every day I wake up, when I sleep, and this is my main agenda. And I would love to live to that that's my pretty much the aim of the life. And I think we have to consistently do the effort. We cannot do it overnight, whatever the damage has been done in the last 40 years, and we cannot do it overnight. But at the same time, their government of India also has to take certain actions, because when I go to the Sikh community, we ask them actually, so okay, so why this is happening, this and that. Their one simple question, it almost 40 years. The genocide of the Sikhs happened in 1984. How many people got convicted? We had an opportunity. Somehow we did not, the government of India did not find the closure for that one. And if we don't find the closure, I think they have a very good opportunity. They will try to exploit this one, and this is exactly they are doing it. But this is a very good effort. Please continue. Thank you very much.
So thanks. I think thanks once again, everybody. It's a happy Diwali time. You all took time, all the panelists as well as almost all the audience, and then patiently participated in this one. We exposed a lot of these issues and discussed that this is the beginning, not the end. We should reassemble sometime in the future, not just for the discussion's sake, but to evolve certain strategies. Good points came up, whether it's a political participation, whether it's a media-related work, or whether it is the exposing some of the conscious efforts happening to kind of change the narrative or the content even from sacred Guru Granth Sahib. So a lot of this thing happening, some of the things may need to be exposed related to the drug nexus or etc. But that is for our future. With this, we would like to conclude on behalf of Foundation for India, Indian Diaspora Studies. I sincerely thank all the panelists. From Canada, we have Ruchi, we have Vijay Jain. From USA, we have SukhiChahal and Mohan Sonti. And thanks all the audience. And with this, we will close this session.
Namaste.
Shubh Deepavali.
Shubh Deepavali.